Hey, I'm Andy Dean,
Hi, I'm Steve Jenner from TagMix.
and this is Loud and Unfiltered podcast.
Glastonbury on the internet, can you imagine it? It was 1999, yeah.
Right, okay.
And, he absolutely hated the idea, threw me out of his office.
It works by taking any videos captured of a performance and enhancing the quality of the audio. Well, that's what they called it. Funnily enough, a scroll stopper. The good sound stops you from scrolling. Hard work, focus, determination. Those then became the watchwords.
Really, the best case success story we've had was Lollapalooza. So they put us on 6 stages.
Hi, welcome to Loud and Unfiltered. Today we've got very good friends, Andy Dean and Steve Jenner from TagMix. Welcome to the podcast, guys. How are we doing?
Very good, thanks, Alex.
Good.
Doing really good, mate.
Yeah, good. We're going to dive straight into it because I want to find out a bit more about you guys. You guys have been around in the industry for a few years. You've had various different jobs, and we want to try and tell our audience a little bit about that. What kind of inspires you? What's motivated you? What amazing projects you're working on in a minute? So yeah, Andy, do you want to start us off? Like, where did you get started? What was your first job in the industry?
Well, I started out basically editing tracks in my mum and dad's front room on a cassette and trying to make 12-inch versions out of 7-inch records. And I had a reel-to-reel, and I was putting everything onto a reel-to-reel so that I could actually then play those back and extend the version. And off the back of that, I started DJing everywhere, got my own sound system together, and started doing house parties, photographers' studios and things like that.
Right,
and started promoting, and that was it.
Yep. Okay. And then you would sort of became a DJ and a promoter at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, got sort of booked to play, like the Fridge in Brixton and Raw underneath the YMCA or Tottenham Court Road, clubs like that.
And what was your DJ name?
Boiler House Boys.
It was the Boiler House Boys.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
So Ben and I basically we met when we was kids, 17, and started doing like little clubs even before we were even old enough to get in.
Right, okay. Amazing.
So yeah, it was a good journey, and then obviously once the DJ career took off, got invited to make remixes. So we did a lot of remixes, dance versions of tracks that were, maybe appearing on the radio but weren't making it in the...
Yep.
So did a lot of versions for clubs, and that then led to being asked to write and produce, and went into a writing production career. Had lots of hits in the 90s.
Oh wow.
And then ended up with a joint venture record label.
Any famous ones for our audience? Our audience might not be. Might have only just been born in the 90s. So.
Well, we did a lot of stuff like Texas, Gabrielle.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
it's like big pop stars.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Second biggest radio record of the year, 2 years running. I'll have
Oh wow! Well done. Congratulations. And what was the name? What was the name of those 2 tracks?
Well, for Gabrielle, Give Me a Little More Time, and Say What You Want for Texas.
Okay. All right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Perfect. Steve, you started a very different background.
Yeah.
How did you kind of get into music?
Similar.
What was your first job? And
Similar kind of trajectory, really. I left uni, and I knew all I knew I wanted to do was work in the music industry somehow. Didn't really, but I couldn't get a job anywhere. Wrote to 100 record companies, got 100 rejections and all that.
Right, okay, yeah.
But just by complete chance, one thing I'd learned to do at university was build very early websites, because late 90s when, so I sort of started getting by doing websites for bands I liked, just
doing it and create one yourself.
So I reached out to all my favourite bands, like at the time Primal Scream, The Prodigy.
Oh wow!
None of whom had band websites at that time.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I managed to talk them into letting me build them one.
What, The Prodigy as well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I love that.
They didn't pay me, but they.
A lot of people their first time don't get paid in the music industry.
I worked out I could get free CDs and free concert tickets.
Okay, brilliant.
Enough for
That's
me.
even better. That's even better. Yeah, for someone who's like massively into it as well. Yeah.
And then I continued not being able to get a job, and then wondered, I wonder if this would work on festivals, because again, back at that point, festivals were a bit underground. It's kind of a bit weird people that went to them. And there were only about sort of 8 of them in the whole country back then.
Yeah.
But Glastonbury was the one that I'd do originally as a gate steward, and they didn't have a website, and I could see from the internet, Glastonbury on the internet. Can you imagine it? So I
Yeah, man. I mean, it sells out in about 2 seconds nowadays, and it's
So
all done digitally. Yeah.
got my paper and pens out, wrote Michael Eavis a handwritten letter, and
No way.
found myself in his office about a week or so later to telling him about this internet that was coming. And
This internet
yeah,
was coming. Right.
and
Excuse me. Well, I'm not going to ask you what year that was, but
it was 1999. Yeah, very long
1999.
time ago,
All right, okay. All right, amazing.
And yeah, I told him he could sell tickets, he could market the festival all over the world. We could share photos and maybe even videos during the event.
Right, okay.
And, yeah, he absolutely hated the idea. Threw me out of his office. Told me never to come back. And if I was seen on site, I'd be removed.
Oh, really?
So,
oh, wow.
So-
Did he change his mind any years later? Or?
well, he did actually, yeah. But to start with, I mean, I was absolutely crushed. I thought I'd finally, this was.
You
this
saw the
was gonna be
future. You were ahead of the game, type of thing.
But I had nothing else to do, so I did it anyway. And and funny enough, I had the same response from the other sort of handful of festivals that existed back then. Things like Homeland, Tea
I
in the
remember
Park.
Homelands, yeah.
And so I ended up just making my own website, which I called Virtual Festivals, put them all on it. And and then just the most extraordinary thing happened. I mean, it was just a case of just being in the right place at the right time, managed to catch the .com boom. And within a year, within 6 months, I'd quit my job and hundreds of thousands on the website. And it was, I mean, people say it was the spark, lit the .com boom, the festival boom.
Yeah, definitely. So pushing everything online kind of thing.
There was no festival industry back then, if you remember. I mean, it's just festivals were sort of this weird offshoot of the music industry. Every festival was an island. They were, there was no infrastructure, and we became inadvertently became the glue that connected. Most importantly, the fans en masse to all the organisers.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, festival organisers had an audience they could market to, and within 2 or 3 years, it'd gone from 8 festivals to 300 festivals listed, and a couple more years we're listing 1,000 festivals, and then
and I suppose you had all that data as well of like the audience and everything. Where before people flyers putting out posters and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it
and then
completely changed. Yeah.
we ended up with an army of about 200 photographers and reviewers that would go to all these festivals and review them, and it was sort of twofold the way it works. On one hand, all the fans realised they could all unite and demand better toilets, better facilities, better food, and that's when the whole standards was really increased a lot. But on the other side, the organisers had a massive benefit because they could they could launch new events. So we had festivals like Festival, Download, Beautiful Days, all launched through our platform. So
I mean, just from both of your stories, you're saying it's like we're trying to get to across the audience. Like you just got to show up every day type thing. Like with yourself emailing 100 festivals or 100 bands to try and do it, and they all said no, but you carried on going, and then later down the line, this website's launched, with yourself, Andy, just turning up and making records and DJing and throwing your own parties.
Yeah, I think it's
because no one would book you type thing as well. So
you're right. It's perseverance. I mean, I think if you're getting the answer no, then find a way round. I think that's basically been like for everything I've experienced, whether it was discovering a band and nobody thinking they were worthy of signing. Well, I'll sign them to my own label, and then you go and have a hit, and then everyone goes, "Oh, boy, were you ever right?" You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just having the belief, I think.
And that hasn't changed, has it? From whether it's the 90s, the 2000s, or in today's age, it's still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for everybody that looks like it's effortless, they are working really hard behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like that iceberg. You've seen that iceberg meme or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, it's the swan going across the lake, isn't it? It's like, it looks very graceful, but underneath, the legs are going like flappers.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch a marathon on TV, the bit in the middle is a bit of a drag, but you got to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm running a half hour soon. I wouldn't mind just doing the start and the finish, not the middle bit.
You're going to get a cab in between.
Yeah. That's what I think all marathon runners do. Yeah, definitely.
But no, there's no shortcuts. That's what I've...
That is it. Yeah.
And to be fair, I spent probably the first 20 years of my career trying to find those shortcuts because I was convinced they were out there, and people kept telling me they were, and I sort of realised probably quite recently, about in the last 5 years, no, they don't exist. You just got to work really hard, unfortunately.
That is it.
It's just graft. The people, and if you look at, it's very easy to see in our industry, the people that are at the top are the ones that work much harder. They're there later. They get up earlier, and unfortunately, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, that is kind of it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these self-help books out there about 5 a.m. club, and so I mean, some of it is you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to do it, but I believe in hard work does get you
One of the
everywhere.
worst things that ever happened.
Networking, everything else, but I honestly believe hard work does get to where you want to be, and that passion.
But one of the worst things that ever happened to me was reading the 4 Hour Work, which I think I read probably in my
That's the
20s.
dream, that's
and I was
the
like,
dream,
yeah,
isn't it?
but there is no what I learned is the easier your work gets, and your work does get easier as you get more successful.
Yeah.
But then you've got to work much harder because there's 100 other people
Yeah,
that want what you've got.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Stay
it.
front,
Definitely. Yeah, to stay ahead of the game. Definitely. And I suppose that kind of staying ahead of the game is kind of leads us nicely onto what you guys have. This new project. Well, it's been around for a few years now, but it's starting to really kind of take off. I want to find out a bit more about that. I'll let you kind of introduce it. Yeah, tell me a bit more about it. What it is, what it does.
Well, it was born. It was actually born out of being
what it's called.
being frustrated. Yeah, TagMix is what it's called. And what happened was we were. I was actually working on a festival myself, filming everything, recording everything, and with a view to putting it all out on socials the next day. And the problem was there were loads of people creating content right then and there, posting it, and it sounded dreadful, and it was completely unrepresentative of the event. So basically, that was where the idea for TagMix was born. Can't we put the audio that we're capturing over there on the devices that are being used to film the artist on stage? And that basically was joining up those dots was what was the thing.
Right. Okay. So kind of break it down a little bit for me, just kind of explaining kind of how it works and then how people can use it.
Sure. I mean, it's really straightforward. It works by taking any videos captured of a performance and enhancing the quality of the audio on those video clips. So what we do is we stream the audio from the mixing desk. We make that audio available to match against in real time. So during the event, while the artist is still on stage, you can create great sounding social media content.
Okay.
And, what we're finding is that gets a massive uplift in reach and engagement as a consequence, because it seems that the sound is really favoured by the algorithms. The good quality content's really favoured by the algorithms. And the biggest boost is probably the artists themselves share it to their own social channels as well.
Right, okay, yeah. So kind of creating this ecosystem of the festival, the artists, everyone. I mean, the artists particularly, their sound to them is so important. In the music market mix. I mean, why it sounds so important. Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting point you say that, because when we first started using it with festivals a couple of years ago, one of the first objections that came up, which anticipated other, was that the artists would be the barriers. They would object to having it, and we still, even today, we don't think the artists are going to go for it.
Yeah.
What we found was from day one trying to do this, the opposite was true. The artists love it. It's a godsend for artists.
Yeah, because they want their music
they
to
want to
sound better,
sound
especially
good.
if
All
they're
they care about
their own
is sounding-
tracks and stuff.
sounding
Yeah,
good.
yeah, not or whatever on an iPhone. Yeah.
So, and that's been, I think, with festivals, it's been one of the things that's really helped us grow the most is how much the artists love it. And what we've really enjoyed is getting this sense of collaboration between the artists and again, in my experience, working as a full promoters and doing my own websites. There was always this sort of between the artists and the festivals. They didn't work. They sort of almost
they kind of hid behind the agent and the booker, and they just kind of turn off and play. And, yeah. Especially festivals where they're kind of in and out a lot as well.
Totally. And there's sort of lack of trust. They certainly didn't cooperate. And what we found now, certainly on a big scale, particularly done in the US, who have really embraced it. The artists are working really close with the festivals. And a really good example of that is Chapel Roan Stratospheric last year over the festival.
Right,
we just, by lucky coincidence, we were that journey.
Wow.
We the first festival was probably the most iconic over the summer, was at Gov Ball in New York, where she painted herself green, and you've probably seen that on social media because it was everywhere. And the festivals team mixed it, so they had us out there doing that.
Right, okay.
But they worked with her own team, who also put clips out. There's this amazing drone shot that she put out on her socials minutes after she'd left. Went totally viral.
And it had been TagMix.
It had been TagMix.
Is that a phrase? TagMix?
Yeah.
It is. You've been TagMix,
what it's called.
basically. Okay, amazing.
So she got TagMixed, and that the rest is history, really. She went, and then we did it again with her at Lollapalooza, which was the next big one she did. So those two
big festivals that you're doing, and what's kind of festival feedback you're getting? Is it like, are their socials like going through the roof now? Has it like the engagement gone up from what they used to post to what they're posting with a
I think
TagMix,
there's been a real shift, I think, in terms of understanding with what we've been able to do, which is provide the content pretty much as it happens in the moment. The shift to posting those clips online at the time that they are created has made, you know, a massive difference to the viewing. So we've literally seen, like, on average about 3-fold uplift from the views, but 8-fold up to, you know, from actual comments, likes and shares.
Right, okay, so people more engaging in it now.
Really more, yeah.
And what are the comments? Oh, that sounds great, or it's just more, all positive, really.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
that sounded
exactly.
amazing.
If I see, I mean, I work in that space where I'm constantly watching videos and things. If I see a bad sounding video, I scroll.
Well, that's what they called it. Funnily enough, a scroll stopper. The good sound stops you from scrolling.
Right, okay, so
yeah,
TagMix and a scroll stopper.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And I have loads of hashtags for this podcast.
That's it, mate. You know. Well, you are in the marketing department.
Yes.
Maybe a bit more cheesy about it. It's about the vibe, and you know, good sound carries the vibe. Crap sound doesn't. Remembering, even if you weren't there and you watched it online.
I also, and I also think a lot of like what used to happen, and you know, like, you know, people would maybe take the studio track and try and put some edit clips over it of the performance, and it just sounded sterile.
It just sounds fake. We promote a lot of videos like that, and it just sounds really fake.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not real.
No one's buying that anymore. And I think by having the actual performance audio, you know, whether it's perfect or not, but also with the crowd.
That's probably the next thing
and
I
the
was going to ask
sound.
you. Yeah. It sounds like it's a live performance. Well, it is a live performance. Yeah. Yeah.
But also you've got the sound of the crowd, you've got the atmosphere, you've got the like, you know, all of the investment that's gone into making that great sound system at the event, you know, comes out and comes across when you post that clip if you've enhanced the audio with TagMix.
It's an important point. The dry sound from the PA, it captures the sound from the user's phone as well.
Right,
so that's where the crowd and the singing comes from, and it
blends
that. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of best.
So I mean, you mentioned a couple of events there. What events have you done so far? I think it sounds you've done a lot in the US and UK, and tell me about some you've covered.
Yeah, I mean, so last year was only actually our first year of trading, but we had amazing deals worldwide.
Oh wow!
And well, we started. We hadn't intended to. We intended to, but then sort of about this time of year, all of a sudden, everything got very gloomy very quickly. Budgets disappeared from marketing.
Yeah. And I'm very well about that.
No choice. We had to start looking further afield because or we'd have had nothing much to do in summer. So that pushed us to go out. I've never actually worked with us. I've always dreamed of
Lollapalooza
amazing. And Golf Ball and things like that.
There we go, completing dreams as well.
Yeah, no,
that's brilliant.
It was incredible. And then we. The UK sort of picked up a bit, and we did end up doing the Mighty Hoopla, Boomtown.
Have you knocked on Michael Seaver's door again?
I have knocked on his door. Well, we work very closely with the Chemical Brothers, who are managed by Nick Dewey, who have this organisation. Quite a lot of say over control over who works with Video Glastonbury, and it's a work in progress.
Okay, all right, amazing. I mean, I kind of want to go back a little bit. It's like you've introduced what TagMix is. Like, where did the idea come from? And like, had you done anything similar to that before that maybe you didn't have success with? And then, like, how did that evolve as a thing? It was like, where did that idea come from, or something? Like that?
Before he answers that. I came across this by reading an interview in Music Week with Andy talking about this idea, and I didn't believe it was true. I thought, he was making it up. And I actually had to go and see him the next day and get him to prove to me that he'd actually done this.
I remember the first time he showed me, I went bollocks.
I didn't think it's possible.
And I was like, I'm deaf in one ear, so like, sound is quite just like important to me if I can hear it properly. But it was like, I was exactly the same, Steve. And he came straight to my office and he was like, bang, like this. What? So
I think I mean, for my background, because I'd worked in before and I'd built up a business, and I exited that business, became swallowed up by CrowdMix, which was quite a public failure. And it was, the day we sold it was brilliant. The share price went from 40p to £4, and everyone's sort of, opening the champagne and thinking, we got it made. And I think at the time, CrowdMix had raised like $20 million.
Yeah, it was a mad story.
And they had like Rob Wells coming in, his first big job in digital, who'd been number 2 at Universal and head of digital for Universal and all the rest of it. And it was going to be this massive, company. Unfortunately, as we all know, it very quickly came to nothing. And I think that was the lesson that I learned, was they didn't really have a product. They had a great,
that's it,
ecosystem around it. They swallowed up our technology, which at the time was, we were obviously always my background in music. So what we were doing is we had a great analytics tool for music preference. So kind of before Spotify could predict what your next playlist ought to. We were doing it. We originally did it by reading people's iPod, right? So like, you could track what they were downloading, what they were listening to, how often they listened to it, play counts. Yeah, that's how we met. And when Steve was doing virtual festival, we did a little app for him called the Festival Matchmaker, and it would look at your iPod and work out 3 festivals you should go to, right, based on your music taste. So it would be like one major one local one, and then one niche one based on.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then it would set what they would like push advertising tickets. Yeah. Like based on your music preference and who was on that lineup. Then I guess.
Yes, exactly. Based on who was on the lineup. So we used to put in all that. Steve had access to obviously all of the 500 or so festivals and all of the lineups to all of the festivals, and on a big database, we basically ingested all of that and used that to propel the sort of recommendations for where you should. So that was what our tech was doing, and it was great, and it was really, really useful. It was creating playlists, and we built apps, Tong and Space in Ibiza, Sonica FM, Pioneer DJ, X Factor, TV show.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so we had big clients, and at the time, the whole revolution was in discovering new music in different ways in the digital distribution. And having had that background in technology, having seen and built a business, and then unfortunately, the people that we sold it to didn't make the most of it. I think that really allowed, there's 2 things we touched on: hard work, focus, determination. Those were then became the watchwords. And actually having, even with TagMix on the TagMix journey, we've had to sort of really put in the graph to find the sweet spot of where the value is. And I think that's the secret, allowing people to come to their own realization that there is something that provides a benefit for them. It's not about
how
me.
they use it afterwards.
It's not about me. It's not about my tech. It's about who the customer is and how they can benefit from using. And I think that's the secret, if there is one out there, of how you make the leap between just
going from companies and through that learning those lessons and kind of working out what they
and I think if there's any use in being having been around the block and been involved in the music industry for as long as I have, that would be the useful thing to take out of it, is that it is the perception of how you get the value from the products, whether even when we used to do remix, it was the stats on how many other DJs were playing your track out, things like that. That's really the indicator.
Yeah, perfect. I think that leads really nicely onto this. It's like you're saying about finding like kind of the sweet spot and things like that. Steve, with the festivals you've worked for, like how are you now helping content plans based around you spoke about a success story earlier. Was there any more kind of success stories that you've had with them, and then it helps them develop a whole new content plan because they realise I can reach
100%. Yeah, so I think probably the best case success story we've had was Lollapalooza. So they put us on 6 stages, and because we'd done GovBall for the same company, C3, sort of knew what we could do, and they really kind of went.
So they kind of understood it and understood the tech, and they was like, right, we can upscale this.
They also could see the same as we could in terms of where content was going online, which a lot of we're still trying to educate a lot of festivals on, but they already knew that the difference was they already knew that. Putting content live on TikTok during the 4 days of the event is going to sell them much more ticket than any after put out a week later.
That is the complete difference.
But they had this big problem that even a festival of their size and scale, they didn't have the resources to produce much content during the event that they could do that with. And then we were an ideal solution, because all of a sudden with us, I mean, they ended up putting out. It was a very simple strategy they used. So they decided to post 5 videos per day per stage, and we were on 115 or so videos during those 4 days
of like key artists and key moments.
Just all artists across those 6 stages. The producers, the Killers, Blink-182, Megan Thee Stallion, so five videos per ended up getting 80 million views.
Wow,
Instagram
because I think a lot of people on socials, it's like obviously people there at the festival, but they want to look. It's the FOMO thing. It's like people who are not there, they want to know what's going on.
Yeah, that's it.
And then what a lot of festivals, they won't post live. They'll post their after movie before people watch it.
And the artist
and
isn't
then
gonna
doing
share
it
that.
live while it's on. Like that creates
Well,
FOMO.
it's-
More people want to. They'll like your page,
Yeah.
and then they're ready to buy tickets as soon as it goes on sale after. So they can see what's happening.
Well,
they can feel the
that's
hype that's
exactly
happening
right.
when it's posted 2 weeks, 3 weeks later.
I think
kind of
what you-
hype isn't around what's going on, and you
I
don't
think-
get those viral moments as much. I would say.
Well, I
And you're
think-
really supporting what those viral moments.
Well,
now.
I think the biggest factor for me is that when the algorithms are all working on song, because it's in the moment and that quality bit of content comes out, they know that people have just started posting chaperone videos, for example, and then you get that one killer drone shot or whatever that sounds amazing, and everyone goes wow, and then they just latch onto it, and that's.
People are watching it for 3 times longer than the other ones. That's what really jumps out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And you have all this data. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Is like, how would this isn't just for big festivals? Really simple tech. Obviously, you designed it, made it, but it's a use, and any festival
it's
can
much
use it,
cheaper.
and it's much cheaper, and so anyone can really.
Just
so,
use your phone. Don't even need a professional camera. to get
right,
rid of-
okay, you just use
I
your
mean, a
phone.
lot of the Chapel Roan stuff.
It's just
that-
important that it's plugged into into the mixer, and then
yeah.
you can level it all up. And
Exactly.
amazing. Even smaller festivals, boutique festivals,
Especially,
anyone can be using it. We've talked a lot about festivals. What about artists? Like,
Well,
how
that's
can
a-
they be using it?
to
Is
be-
it expensive for just an artist?
No, to be fair, our artists have actually started to really, really endorse it. So the first success story we had with artists was the Chemical Brothers. We did the Chemical Brothers at the Isle of Wight. They headlined, I think, Saturday night.
Yeah.
And they gave us this. They were really smart. They were like gave us a list of the tracks they wanted us to tag mix, right?
Right, okay.
Because they knew they had it in their mind already that they were going to post clips from their performance
Right, okay.
to promote their new single.
So
Yeah,
they came and found us before their performance, and their tour manager came to to set
Gonna
list
be
on our
this
desk.
minute and stuff like that. Yeah,
And it's like marked out all these songs.
So
like,
you're already exactly with the angles.
Yeah, so they gave us all of the production cues. When the robots were going to come out. When the big balloons were going to be thrown out into
make
the
sure
crowd.
you film this song.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they really, really had it down and they knew exactly what they wanted to post. And I think that's the real secret, is if people have a content strategy in their mind and work back from that and use us in the right way. So they had great results from that performance on the Saturday night at the Isle of Wight, and then they took us on the road. So
The
amazing.
following week, they posted one of our clips to
promote their
preview
tour.
their next single. And there's an-
Oh wow! So they used it
yeah.
as part of the single promo as well. Oh, brilliant!
I think it was
so that's the proper way to use it.
And it was the day
is
that-
the proper way to use it.
It was
yeah.
the day the festival's early birds had gone on sale, coincidentally, so they loved it as well.
Oh
'cause
right,
the
brilliant.
double promotion.
So there you go. That's the 101 on how to use it properly. I mean, we obviously the Chemical Brothers are huge artists. Is it accessible for your touring DJ, for example? Can they use it where they haven't got big visuals and stuff like that? Or can they use it? Or
We're doing a lot of shows for Jamie Jones right now. So I mean, his team are using it remotely. So that's another way that it can be used. So for example, his tour manager is sending us a Dropbox full of video clips, and we're processing those video clips, pretty much within 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
And then they've got they've got all the content
wow.
they need, and so we're doing his, like we just did Miami, South America, and all the rest of it.
Wow.
So those are the kind of so the point is, any artist got access to a Dropbox folder can use our system.
Brilliant. And I mean, everything's about Instagram and TikTok and posting videos of their shows, and it's that accessible for any artist. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So all right, amazing. I mean, I've known about this for 4 years, but the kind of the growth that's happened over the last sort of 18, amazing. Some of the big festivals you're working at, we were at Middle East in Saudi Arabia together, and some of the content after that was amazing. I think it actually sounded better than when I was actually there listening to it on some of it.
That's another interesting one, because we had a call this week with one of the headline artists, which was basically asking us again, off the back of that festival, to take the tech on the road with them. Hopefully.
Okay, amazing.
Can't tell you who it is just yet, but hopefully we'll be able to.
All right, well, yeah,
By the
follow
time
the TagMix socials. I'm sure you'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
Great. I think what you're doing with that is amazing. I think it's actually a big game changer in the industry. I think once more people know about it, I think it'll set the standard really for it. I don't think anyone else can create that.
I like the way you phrase it. Do you want it to sound good or not?
But that is simply it.
comes
Sometimes you
down
just
to.
have to simplify something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I
yeah,
think some.
yeah,
I've been involved in a lot of tech projects, and sometimes it's just people can't work it out. Like,
Yeah,
what is it?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
how does it benefit
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
It benefits different
yeah,
people, but just
yeah.
do you want it to sound shit or not? Like, that is literally it. That is literally it.
Yeah.
It baffles me why anyone wouldn't want it to, because
Yeah,
it's, I mean, it's
that's
like
it.
the equivalent of back in the day when people booked an advert in Evening Standard. It would be like sending something where you can't read any of the text because it's all blurred.
Yeah.
How can you advertise a music experience without?
Yeah, perfect. Oh, yeah, I think it's an amazing story how this has come about, and it seems like it's just on the properly on the cusp of going fully global. Kind of, I just want to take you back a little bit now. It's kind of, as you said, both of you guys have been in this industry a while now. This podcast is all about trying to inspire people and motivate people. Like, what kind of motivates you now, and then what kind of did back then, and then, like, what's kind of motivating you now with the next step?
Well, for me, it's probably very similar. I feel I've come full circle a bit, and this journey with TagMix is reminding me a lot of my earlier days with Virtual Festival. I'm part of something that's really changing everything for the better and helping people, reach a bigger audience. And that, I mean, I guess that's what, and I love it.
Yeah.
Time of my life doing this. I was doing cashless for 10 years before that, which seemed like a good thing to get into at the time. That wasn't really what gets me up.
Okay.
So
you're getting to travel around the world, all these festivals.
yeah, can't complain. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just quickly, what's been the best one you've been to, or?
I'm gonna say, people.
You're Mr. Festival, man. I thought I was Mr. Festival. I've like been to like 250 round around, but I reckon you've probably been to more.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I find something in all of them that's amazing. I mean, they've all got. That's what I love about Festival for so long. They've all got its own magic. It's totally unique.
Oh, amazing, guys. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Really enjoyed that, and all the best with TagMix. And we're looking out for it. Follow the socials. Do you want to tell the audience what the socials are and where they can find out more about TagMix?
Yeah, sure. It's at TagMix me. That's it.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. Brilliant. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. Take care.
Yes.
That's right.